Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you one of the best looking RGB coolers on the market. Dang. Hey, what's up everybody? My name is JD from JDTechGear and welcome back to the channel. Today we're looking at Cooler Master's Addressable RGB all-in-one liquid cooler, the ML240R. Yes, it's a beautiful cooler and of course, looks are all subjective, but how does it perform and what kind of options do we have for connectivity and ease of use? The ML240R comes in at $120 for the 240mm variant and $100 for the 120mm variant, so this is competing right up there with Corsair, Deep Cool, and Fractal Design. The ML240R comes with two RGB master fans which have addressable RGB LEDs themselves. The water block has a dual chamber design which helps isolate the separation of hot and cool liquid for cooling efficiency and lowered noise production. The pump is made from PPS and glass fiber, but not fiberglass, which is a chemical resistant and oxidation proof type of material. The contact plate is made of copper and has engraved microchannels to help with heat dissipation. The tubing is FEP, which is great for durability, and the tubing is sleeved, which I love in terms of aesthetics. The pump cap on the water block is adjustable. This way you can mount the cooler however you like without having to worry if the logo is going to be upside down or a different direction than it is when it's right side up. This is a small yet critical detail that I absolutely love. This cooler supports everything from AMD FM1 to AM4 and Intel LJ775 to 2066 sockets. This is what all the wiring looks like. It's intimidating, yes, but I'll break it down for you. So all the RGB connections have been upgraded to digital RGB connectors over the traditional 4-pin connection. The 3-pin digital connector is for addressable RGB connections, whereas the 4-pin does not have that type of control. The fan hub is provided with this cooler and it's fantastic quality with built-in magnets, which should be a standard on every fan hub. It makes life much simpler when finding a place to mount it. It's just so much easier. Anyways, all the wiring can look intimidating and there is no included manual with the packaging. Instead, it's available on Cooler Master's website for download, which I prefer. I appreciate the paperless approach. On the fan hub, there are digital RGB connections. On the other side, there's 2-prong connectors if you decide to wire up any of the front panel connectors to the fan hub to have front I/O control. Other control options include the digital RGB connector for motherboard control, but your motherboard will need a digital RGB header. Otherwise, you can use the 4-pin RGB header without the addressable RGB functionality. Alongside with all of that, there's a USB connector for Cooler Master software control, which Cooler Master is currently working on. To connect the RGB cables to the fan hub, use the included male RGB adapters. I really like this since it gives you the flexibility of RGB connection in case you need to use the female connection instead. There's an included RGB splitter for the fans, which convert up to 3 fans to 1 RGB connection. Surprisingly, with all of these wires, you would think the pump would be littered with cables, but instead it's very clean with only 2 cables, the pump and the RGB cable. Currently, motherboard software control is pretty limited with only support for Asus Aura Sync, MSI Mystic Lighting, and upcoming support for ASRock motherboards, although the number of motherboards in this list is limited to each type of software. This just goes to show that there should be a widely adapted dynamic software that is compatible with all RGB components. So this way, manufacturers don't have to allocate a ton of time and resources to make sure that everything is compatible with all sorts of various types of motherboard software. If all of this is too much, that's completely fine since you have the option to use provided controls on the fan hub itself, which all those controls are included in the downloadable manual. Now let's talk performance. Once again, the 8600K is being used for stress testing and all the results are delta over ambient room temperature. Also keep in mind, I continuously stress the cooler for over an hour and a half for the liquid to reach its heat capacity. Here are the results. The ML240R ran at 36.3 C over room temperature at a stock fan curve, and at a max fan curve brought down the temp to 34.3 C over room temperature. At the stock fan speed, the total system noise produced 42.5 decibels. The ML240R is nearly the best on this chart, but it's beat out by the Rivenaya, which is 3.5 degrees cooler at stock fan speeds. Still, this cooler performs very well and leaves plenty of room for overclocking. Even though the ML240R produces produce around 42.5 decibels of noise with the entire system included, the fans were a bit noisy. Not in the sense that they produced a ton of noise, but from the type of noise they produce. It's more distinct from the rest of the noise output from the test bench. It's not very distracting, but it's noticeable when paying close attention. Aesthetically speaking, this is one of the best looking RGB coolers on the market, in my opinion. The NZXT Kraken is a very good looking cooler as well, but this is right up there in terms of looks. The ambient ring of color on the pump is diffused well, and it's beautiful. It's not harsh lighting, it's very soft, and I prefer that style of lighting. The pump has a reflective finish on it, so it reflects all the ambient light from around the case. That looks really good. Fans look good too, but I prefer the ring style of lighting over the center style of lighting, so I would like to see a different style of lighting from Cooler Masters fans to really show off the addressable RGB lighting. I mean, these fans do that, but the center gradient of color on the blades doesn't look as smooth when compared to the ring style fans, and it doesn't look as rich. Overall, this is a fantastic looking cooler. It performs very well and competes well for its price tier. The pump and LED design are perfect in my eyes. The pump is very quiet, by the way, and overall the entire cooler is silent with the exception of paying close attention to the fan noise. There are various methods for RGB control, which is great to have to suit the advanced and more basic controls, whichever one you're more comfortable with. There is an abundance of wires with this cooler, but the overall finished product is still clean around the pump. Installation is very easy with this cooler, and it's the same as the other Master liquid coolers. That's why I didn't go over it again in this review. For the price, this presents a very decent all-in-one liquid cooling solution and looks great while doing it. I highly recommend it for your next RGB endeavor. If you're interested in this cooler, the link will be down in the description below. So what type of RGB LED lighting is your favorite? I absolutely love ambient lighting. I think it looks the best out of all of them. If you guys are new here and you like these types of videos, consider checking out the rest of the channel and subscribing to become part of the Tech Junkie family. As always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.